Hey Donald X, what is the story behind Marquis or Marquis?
So this card, whatever it's called, it doesn't have much of a history, but I do get to share a split pile. It started out in the craft split pile, and this is a split pile that did not survive. And so let's look at it. The first card is Shop. Cantrip, double your buys, you may rotate the craft. So it was later on when I was rotating. And there are a few of these split piles that didn't survive. There was one that was all treasures that, we had a lot of fun playtesting, and then it like died completely. None of those cards survived. And I didn't want to have too many split piles in the set because they were this feeling that they'd be a burden for casual players. And I'm not sure they are, because you only ever see one card on top. And so casual players, and I've seen them do this, they can be like just not worrying about it. If they get the chance to rotate the pile, they will rotate it automatically to see what's next. And they'll just deal with whatever's on top. And so it's not necessarily over the top in the way some things are that involve multiple cards. But still, it was a concern that I didn't want to do too many of these piles too. There was also the Mariners, and Monkey comes from there. It was in a split pile and now is in Seaside. And the Mariners did help contribute to getting me to do Seaside 2nd edition. But anyway, we're talking about the crafts. So first we have this double your buys card. And I don't think I did appreciate how that played, really. And then we have Carpenter, and it's just Carpenter. It was in a split pile, and then I decided that was great, and it got to be its own pile. And then we have Goldsmith. Cantrip, this turn when you gain a treasure, you may gain a cheaper card. That was super fun and super broken. And I pursued it as its own pile and made several versions of it. But in the end, they died. And I brought it back in Plunder, and it died again. And it was part of the story of why Horde didn't get to just say, in 2nd edition Prosperity, didn't get to say, this turn when you gain a victory card, gain a gold. Because it loops with this, right? Oh, the victory card comes with the gold comes with an estate, and the estate, or a duchy, and the duchy comes with a gold. And so you run out the estates and the duchies. And this ability didn't seem unreasonable because the whole cheaper thing means you're safe, except if there's some card like Horde that dodges that. Smoke also dodges it, but not as badly. But anyway, it was a fun concept, and we had fun playing some broken games, and in the end, there is no. And then at the top we have either Marquis or Marquis, and it looks just like the final version, except it's called Architect. So there are a couple more versions to come. And, actually just one. So then it also tried to be its own pile. So the craft pile split up, and just 3 cards tried to be their own pile. And, Shop died. And Shop tried to live on in Architect because now it says double your buys, plus the card per card in your hand, discard down to 10. And the discard down to 10 concept, that was, I specifically, I just thought of it and I thought, this will be cool. A card. At first I was like, I want to make a card that makes you discard down, like Militia's you, and will be good somehow. And then I thought, I could do this Madman and discard down to 10. And that, it just, it was just a silly thing that I liked. And Madman had originally started, it was originally an intrigue as a card called Ball. And initially it was just a card you could buy. And it was a one-shot that the very first version didn't double your hand, and then it doubled your hand. And but it seemed neat if I could pull off doing one that you didn't trash. So I tried Architect. And so then it doubled your buys, but that did not play well. And so then it went back to not doing that, and then it got renamed to either Marquis or Marquis. And it was one of the concepts of this split pile was that split pile cards couldn't give you +1 buy, because what if only one player gets 1 buy, the plus buy due to that? Unless it was the top card, in which case you almost certainly could just open with it if you felt like you really had to. Even if you had, it's like, the 5-2 open with herb gatherer is not, it's not something you so much want to do, but you could consider it anyway. If the other person buys herb gatherer and you're like, they're going to rotate away from it and I won't even get one. But in this case, since the top card provided plus buys, a later card could also do it. That's just explaining that. And so, yeah, there it is. And it's fine. It's not a star of the set by any means for me, but I enjoy it fine. I'm happy with it so far. Allies is the newest released expansion, I guess. And so it's harder to know, how the test of time has gone for this card that starts with an M. But so far no one's complaining. I think it's doing okay.
Hey Bards, what do you have for us today?
Mountebank Mountebank. Games with it really stank. So much junk, decks would tank. Then you would dud. Mountebank Mountebank. Engines? Completely jank. Donald said walk the plank. He is our bud. Mountebank Mountebank. All of its memes were dank. Skipping it, let's be frank, you will get killed. Mountebank Mountebank. Games with it truly stank. Donald X we should thank. Now let us build.
Monte made a living off a rank protection racket, offering elixir for a respite from attack, yet utterly annihilating any found to lack it. None could run a working engine, all who tried were lost. Those who sought to prosper had to pay his cursed cost. Even so, he might drop in again after it's tossed. Buried by his flood of copper, one too many drowned, adding to his status as the baddest man around. Now the feds have intervened and shut the whole thing down. Keep a lookout anyway. A charlatan in town.
Thank you, Shanahan and JNails, for those charming tributes to Mountebank. Knowing that Mountebank is so beloved, the bards felt compelled to provide 2 odes today. But which is the copper and which is the curse?